Welcome to the 12-Man Podcast. Strap in for an hour of Borough chat. Up the Borough!
Quite happy I remembered how to do all the things. Well, good evening. Welcome to the 12-Man Podcast, live on Facebook, The Reds, and all the good places you get your podcasts. You got me, Steve Jackson. I'm back in the main chair. I've had me break. I'm back, refreshed, kind of. Got Mr. John Cutler's with me. It's been a while.
Evening.
Been a long while, hasn't it?
It has indeed, mate.
Are we doing all right?
Yeah, I'm all good, yeah. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, can't complain. Well, I could, but we'd be here longer than an hour. And we've got Mr. James Algarno with us, who I must thank for filling in for me. Evening, Dalek.
Oh, then all right, yeah. Don't be going off again anytime soon. It was I prefer being this side of things, definitely.
Good. How are we doing? All right.
Yeah, sweet mate, and it's good to be speaking to you again.
Aye, good to be back. It was nice breakaway, bit of a messy one, but yeah, bit not quite PG for me to go and talk about on this, so I won't. So we've got a bit to talk about tonight. We've got Stoke, fantastic home win. Were we that good or were they that bad? We'll talk through that. And we've got two games this week. So we've got West Brom and Watford both away. So before we start, are we both all right? Are we both okay?
Can't stop laughing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's always better with a win, isn't it?
Exactly. So we'll start with what should we start with? We'll start with the team. So 2 o'clock, the team came out then. Got a couple of changes. No Conway, no Clark. Vandenberg back on the bench. Doak starting. McGree starting. Quite a bit of change, wasn't there?
Yeah, obviously I haven't seen what's up with Clark or Conway. I think Conway, bit of a hamstring issue or something, whatever. But I was absolutely delighted. I think we said it on the pod last week about getting McGree back in the team and giving Doak, after his cameo performance at Sunderland, he certainly deserved it for me. Azaz back in the number 10 role, it looked a lot. It looked really good. I thought the changes that he made are the ones that I would have made. I think I said last week I would have started Conway ahead of Lath, but obviously due to injury that couldn't happen. So yeah, I was relatively happy with the team.
Yeah, it was good. Dally, come to you. Obviously, you weren't there Saturday. Obviously,
Well, I was, and then I wasn't. Yeah, I was in the fan zone having a few beers, and I got a phone call, and I had to dash home. Nothing serious, don't worry. But yeah, I got as far as a turnstile, but I got home in time for the game. So I'd seen the team. We talked last week. McGree has to be, if he's fit, he has to be in that team. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. It was great to see Doak get a start as well. And you know we'll touch on what a good cracking game he had. But yeah, it was one of those we touched on last week about we didn't know what to expect from Stoke, and I got talking to a guy in the fan zone who travelled down on their free coaches, which they still get, by the way, which is a fantastic gesture by Stoke City. And they brought some decent numbers down, to be fair. You saw the number of buses. And he was saying exactly what we did last week on the pod. He didn't know what to expect. He'd never heard of their new manager. He didn't know obviously, they'd only played one game and he couldn't really take a lot from it. But I was, it was kind of going into the unknown, like we said, because we didn't know how they were going to play. But we were more than ready for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. Firstly, I will bring up what he's mentioned about the coaches. I think 16 years they've had free buses. 16 years. That's incredible. That.
Fair play.
Fair play.
Absolutely.
All you got to do as a fan is buy a ticket. You can see why they bought a fair few on Saturday. And their manager, I've never heard of their manager. Have you heard of their manager? I've never heard of him.
Can't say I have, no. I think when I was watching Stoke Hull, I think they mentioned that he was a coach at Norwich or something. So yeah, I'd never heard of him.
Looked like you've been in the pig iron before. not the normal manager attire.
No, looking on their Twitter feed after the loss to us, a lot of them couldn't really understand why Schumacher went in the first place.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, that, because, I mean, yeah, they hadn't started great, but they hadn't started the worst I've ever seen.
It's ridiculous sacking the manager after 4 games, man. Crackers.
Exactly. I mean, they were still through in the cup, weren't they? You know, they were still in the cup. Yeah. You know, obviously came to us and gave us an absolute hiding. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. But going back to us, you know, let's put the focus back on us. Yeah, I mean, I screamed on another podcast on Thursday that we've got to play back to our strength, back out wide, and I'm just so glad he listened. I really am. Yeah, we were so good. The first 20 minutes, I thought was the best I've seen us play in a long, long time. And it came, obviously, chances came. I think Latte laugh at the post as well.
I think they started off really well. It was, like I say, I'd been speaking to the guy, the Stoke City fan, and he said he didn't know what to expect. And I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but I know the commentary team did. That before the game, Stoke, all the players went over and high-fived all the bench, and then they did a huddle, and they did every routine you can before a game. And when they started the game, I thought the first 5 minutes, we were kind of just watching what they were doing, because it's not often you'll get a team who'll try and play football against us in the method that in the way that we play, keeping the ball, playing out from the back. And I think they had one chance, which Senny Dieng saved, and it was like they just ran out of steam after that.
Yeah.
Excellent save, that bad.
It was a really good save, really, really good save, but it's pretty normal for Senny, isn't it? Let's face it. But yeah, I mean, once that occurred, we got stuck into them. We got into our flow, our passing, our play, and then one quick free kick. Riley made the difference again, pulled the save out, and there's Ben Doak. First start, first goal. Talk to me about Ben Doak. How good could this kid be?
It's early days, but I mentioned it last week, and when he came on at Sunderland, his first thought is not to go backwards, it's to get the ball, take the full back on. And I've always said I don't mind the wingers losing the ball in the final third if they're trying to create something. And he's just, like I say, he's a breath of fresh air for me, because the 110 minutes, 120 minutes or so that I've seen of him, I can't wait to see him for the rest of this season. That left back must have been having nightmares about him, because he absolutely got at him every single time, was getting past him all the time. His work rate was fantastic, getting back and helping Ayling out when he needed to. I couldn't fault him. It was an absolutely superb full debut.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable full debut. I say, we raved about him, Dally. We said that, you know, this kid was supposed to be the backup for Mo Salah. You know, why is he going out on loan? Obviously, Arnie Slot came out and said, you know, he liked the way Borough played. He liked the way we played our football. I can't wait to see more of this kid. This kid's going to get better and better.
Yeah, I think he was one of the signings that did give me a bit of excitement. I think Hamilton was still yet to see the spark, and I think he's playing the way I think everybody expected Hamilton to play. Obviously, Doakes took his chance on Saturday. He's looked good when he's come on. I think if you could get Isaiah Jones back on form and you put them both on each wing, I think that would frighten the living daylights out of defenders. But yeah, really exciting to see him. You know, it's always good when they get off the mark to score a goal, but the chances he was creating was really exciting as well.
I think that's the most important. That's the most important bit that Dallas just said, isn't it? You know, it wasn't that he scored. Fair enough, he did score. It's great to get a goal and he did. It's the chance he was making. It was the runs he was making inside out. Like you said, the left back was having absolute nightmares on that game.
He was a massive threat the whole way through. And you mentioned Jones there, and I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Jones. He's had a poor start of the season, but I hope he looks at Doak there and sees how excited and the applause he got when he was going off, and how happy the fans were to see him get the ball and have a go at them. I hope Jones looks at that and says, that's how I started off originally. Yeah. I want to get back to a bit more of that. And like Dally says, both of them flying on either side, and I don't know, you could maybe move McGree into a number 10 role. I think it's only positive, me. Like I say, I think it's one of the best debuts I've seen for a long while for this football club.
Oh, gotcha.
For a kid as well. What is he? 18, 19 year old?
Yeah. Full international as well.
He was excellent, absolutely excellent.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, it's only Scotland, you know, but...
I've never seen a better Scottish footballer.
He really did light up that right wing. I was saying, but like you know, Jones has had a really poor start of the season. You know, apart from the first game, I can't really say much he's done.
Yeah.
I thought he needed taken out the firing line, given that, you know, let's see what, you know, what could happen if you're not on the pitch. This is what you could be, kind of thing. And if he wants to raise his game and match what Doak does, get Doak onto the side.
Yeah.
That's a laugh in the middle of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's positive, massively positive.
Oh God, yeah.
It's not just his performance. I think we moved the ball a lot quicker than we have done. We looked at getting back to how we used to play, where we were trying little through balls, passing the ball fast, moving their defence about. I mean, I don't know about you lads. I don't know what I enjoyed the most, whether it was actually our performance or how bad they were at the back trying to play Pep Guardiola football. It was absolutely hysterical. I could just imagine every time they were passing it back when Gibson was getting the ball, the Benny Hill theme tune going through my head. And I thought, they were really bad. But to be fair to us, I thought we were excellent. It's the best full 90 minutes, maybe barring Leeds, that we've done. But for the full 90 minutes, I thought we were excellent on Saturday. I really did.
I think you're right there, Cuts, what you said there about them playing around at the back and you know, the people their fans that have been pulling their hair out. I listened to an interview recently with Rafa Benitez and one with Sam Allardyce, where they were saying that it takes 6 passes to put the ball in the back of the net. So why do teams do tippy-tappy? And when you're watching Stoke trying to play it out from the back, it was quite comical at times. But I think they were the first team that I've seen up here this year that have not followed the same route as everybody else, where everybody else has sat back, nicked a goal, and then time wasted, played the ugly side of football. These have decided to have a go, and it's not the way to play against us.
No, you're right. It's probably the first game of the season I've not backed the keeper to get a yellow card.
I mean, I think. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but their fans were booing after about 40 minutes when they were passing the ball back to the keeper. Do you really want to see that constantly, side, defenders passing it and passing it back to the keeper? I saw Gary Neville going off it at the Liverpool Wolves game the other night. Wolves 1-0 behind with 2-1 behind with 5 minutes to go, and they're passing the ball back to the keeper for about 5 minutes. The striker came on and had one touch in 20 odd minutes. Not everyone's got the players to play Pep Guardiola football, and you've got. They're not average players, but the Championship standard players, they're not good enough to do it. And it was It was good to watch as a Borough fan because we weren't doing it. We're nowhere near as bad as them are doing it.
No.
But you'd look at their centre halves and the fullbacks, and you think, why are they even playing this way? You haven't got the players to do it.
It made me think, because I remember all them years when we sold Ben Gibson. I can't believe how bad he was on Saturday. He tried the tippy tappy football, and it showed he couldn't do it. He's not that type of centre half. He's a. I remember back to the days when he played alongside Ayala. He's direct up the pitch, thump it. He doesn't play his tippy tappy into the midfield. He's not that footballer.
No, well, none of their back four were with it.
No,
none of them.
It just showed. It just showed the amount of times our midfield jumped on them. I thought Hackney and Morris were really in command on Saturday. I thought they were really controlling in that midfield. I don't know who was in midfield for them, but they got ran all over the shop. And then that just proved it with the second goal, because they tried to play out again, and then we pipped them. And then Hackney, wow, took on 3 or 4, and then we were all shouting, shoot, 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 shoot. And then he did, and wow, what a finish that was.
Sublime.
He's got it in his locker. I mean, you look. I think he had a similar attempt at Derby away this season, and if you go back to the Sunderland game, we were crying out for someone to have a go, and instead it was just pass. There was no end product, and obviously he's got to the edge. He start off with hats off to Latela for the tackle he put in, and then for the run that Hackney went on. I dare say that's our first goal outside the box under Carrick since Riley McGree at Norwich. I'm just pulling one off the top of my head there, but it was nice to see someone have a go, and it was hell of a finish.
It was because, as I say, a few were saying, we don't score goals from outside the box because we are woeful. How often do we not hit the target? And they're right. It's absolutely right. But that's what we've got in our basket. That's what we can do. That's what we can pull out. And yeah, you were absolutely right. The shot he had at Derby, I say we were all right behind it in that corner. I thought he's pinned that top corner, but it was probably the best game I've seen Hayden Hackney play in a Borough shirt for a long time. We've been missing that. It was probably 2/3 of the way through last season was the last time we saw him do that. Do you think he's found someone alongside him, even Morris, who can do a little bit of the mopping up behind him? He's given him a little bit of freedom to go and venture forward just a little bit.
I think Riley McGree's back.
On that.
I think Riley McGree hasn't played a lot this season, and I think the work he does, because let's be honest, he's played with Aidan Morris all season, Hackney, and he's been okay, but he hasn't been as good as he was at the weekend. I mean, that's just my opinion. What do you reckon, Cuts?
We all know the qualities that Hayden's got. He was injured. He had a lengthy spell of injury last year. Maybe it took him a little while to get up and running. But for me, if there's a better 4 midfielders at the same club than House and McGree, Hackney and Morris, I haven't seen them. Because if them 4 perform at the levels we know they're capable of, I still don't see any reason why we can't make top 2. Then you throw into the mix that with Doak, Jones, even Bergzorg, Latelath, Conway. We've got centre halves injured left, right, and centre. If we get these players back, we've still got a really, really strong squad. And what we've off top 5 points, and we've been bemoaning our start a little bit, even though it's been better than last year. But to be fair, it couldn't be any worse. I think if Hackney plays to his standard, and Morris for me has been absolutely outstanding all season, I think we've still got a real chance of getting top 2, because I don't see anything in this division to be scared of, to be afraid of. It's not like previous years where you've had a couple of teams that you knew at the start of the year, like Leicester last year, were going to go really close. And I think this year, we may have mentioned it last night, this year's the time to get out of it, because you've got Birmingham and League Low, they're going to go up and they're going to spend money. So they're going to be a big club that go up. And if you look in the Premier League, if, I don't know, say for example Everton come down, moving into a 60,000 stadium, they're going to be a massive threat next year. This is the year where we really, really need to go for it. And if the players perform to how they should be performing and how we know they can perform, I don't see any reason why we can't do it, mate, honestly.
No, I can't disagree with that. I mean, you mentioned there about the teams in the next division. I mean, you mentioned Birmingham. You could dare mention putting Wrexham there if you really want to.
Well,
what I mean? The 2 owners they've got, they're ambitious. They're massively ambitious. There's still big teams in League One, that can come up and do a job.
Well, it shows their ambition. They spent £15 million on a centre forward in League One.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, he's a striker. I thought we could have gone for Jay Stansfield. I think he's a brilliant striker.
It's big money, but yeah, like I say, it's all about us and how these players perform. Yeah,
and we've got no excuse. I mean, like you said, we've got players coming back in. We've still got players that are out injured. I mean, Marcus Force. You know what I mean? He's starting to. I think he's starting to train now. So a few weeks for him, he could be back soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it'd be a big plus for us.
It's massive, and they say it was mentioned the other night, Dally. Is the amount of options kind of like surprising Carrick? He doesn't quite know how to deal with it. Look at last season. We didn't have them options. It was basically that's your squad. That's your 11, deal with it, got nothing else. Is he having to adapt to this now because he's got so many options now to make? I know everyone a little bit happy, try and fit the system around everyone, not just a couple of the players like we did last year.
I think it's such a busy league, isn't it? The amount of fixtures that we've got, everybody's going to get, if you look at the injuries that you're naturally going to get over the season, everybody's going to get a turn. But how much more refreshing is it that he has got options than last year when the injury list, I think we had, at one point, we had an injury list which quite possibly could make a starting 11. That's from goalkeeper to striker. So it's brilliant that we've got these options. I don't think he's necessarily finding it or he's upset with it. It's about using players wisely. Riley McGree, it was the right thing to do to take him off when we did, because he's coming back from an injury. Why risk it for 90 minutes, injure him again, and then lose that option? So I think he'll manage it. I think he'll manage it well. And you know, we looked at it last season, and how much did we bemoan that if we had the options on the bench, I think we'd have done it last year. I think if we'd have kept everyone fit, I think we'd have got in the playoffs. So I think he'll look at it as a positive.
Yeah, I agree with that. As I say, no one can take away how bad our injury crisis was last year. I don't think any other team in this league had anywhere near what we had. But yeah, we've got something now. Like I said, there's players in every position. It's not just one player for we've got a couple of options all around the pitch. I don't know if you lads mentioned it. I'm still worried about the experience he's got on the bench, coaching wise. Just to give him a little bit of a word in my ear, saying, change that a little bit, change that. Is he guilty of just sticking by his ways a little bit?
I think he's more
when things are going wrong.
I think sometimes it reminds. Obviously, we've just watched the Euros in the summer, and everyone was critical of Gareth Southgate for being reactive rather than proactive and leaving things too late. I think sometimes the same could be said for Carrick. There haven't been many games when we've made the changes first, and we've got to come up with the answers. But you've got to look at the last 2 seasons, and we finished on above 70 points. And you look at last season, had we had a better start, or we had some of those injuries that we've just touched on, I think we'd have definitely been a playoff team. And then who knows? It's the obviously the look of the look of the playoffs. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's just got to have a bit more confidence at times to change it, and he needs a plan B. I think there's definitely got to be a plan B.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring negativity into this. I was just weighing both sides up. You know what I mean? Coach, how refreshing was it to see Ralph Vandenberg back?
Yeah. We know what a good player he is, and he's massive for this football club. But, I mean, we talked about injuries last season, but if you look at it this year, we've got Bangura who's out for the season, Dale Fry and Lenihan, God knows where they are, Matt Clark, Johnny Howson, Conway now. I'd love to know what they're doing in training, because these days they've got sports scientists, the lot, and we're picking up injuries left, right and centre, and we have done for over a year now. So whatever they're doing, something needs to change, because you can't keep picking up injuries like that. They're massive, massive players, and good championship players as well that we're losing. And there's not many clubs in this division that would be able to cope with losing players of that standard, 4 or 5 of them at the same time, and still be able to put in performances like we did on Saturday. So it shows how strong the squad is. But we can't keep losing players like this. So it needs to be something needs to be looked at of what they're doing, and something is obviously not going right.
Yeah,
they should have had this looked at when Clark was our only fit centre back. I mean, even before that. But when you look at it, and you've got Matt Clark who's been out for best part of a year, and then he's your only fit centre back. We should have had something in place then. Obviously, we didn't, and we are starting to pick them up again. Personally, I think I'd start with not training on Rockcliffe Car Park anymore.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. It's got to be. Yeah, Cuts is right. I mean, he's just a spit for 2 minutes, but he's absolutely right. There's something. Yeah, I'd be having a look at. They say Rockcliffe's supposed to be one of the state-of-the-art training grounds. It's where England come when they come to the north of England. They always go to Rockcliffe. No ifs or buts. But yeah, it's just it was. I mean, my point was more how refreshing was it to see Vandenberg back more than anything. But because especially with Clark now potentially picking up a little bit of a niggle, he's been almost consistent centre half for a year. Dale Fry, we don't know how far away he is. Lenihan's exactly the same. I know he's at the game Saturday, but didn't look anywhere near it. But yeah, how refreshing is it that Vandenberg's back, and also that we've still got players like Dijksteel that is more than happy to fill in that centre half just in case we ever do need that option.
Yeah, I think with Dijksteel, I think fair play to him, because the story was that he was free to leave the club in the summer, and I think when he's played this season, I think he's taken every chance. I think he's been when he's played, I think he's looked the part. So again, it's good that we've got the options. You know, like I said, it's brilliant to see Van den Berg back. Very frustrating when he got injured. But again, you know, they ended up bringing Edmondson in. Obviously, Clark, obviously subsequently now injured. But it shows how much of a player we would miss by the fact that we've had to go out and recruit. But it's more competition for them.
What have you made of Edmondson? His start, his first couple of games coming in.
I don't think he's really put a foot wrong. To be fair, I think he's you know, he's coming back. He's coming to us from 2 back-to-back promotions with Ipswich, so his confidence is high. Okay, he's got the Premier League, and maybe they've had that conversation. We're going to go in a different direction, but he's a fit lad. He's come straight into the fold, and like I said, I don't think he's put a foot wrong really.
No, I don't. I mean, there was a few people saying I'm not quite sure about him, but the lad's he's been open and honest when he's joined the club. He said, I'm playing for a contract. He said, I don't think I'll be going back to Ipswich. I think my time's up there. And he's fitting straight away. He's not really, like you say, he's not really done a foot wrong. Someone did point out.
Touch wood, he's not really panicked us yet, has he? I mean,
No.
which obviously is what you want in a defender. You don't want them to panic you.
Well, that's it, especially the way we play out from the back as well. We play out in a certain way where you've got to be confident on the ball, and I think he probably gets that from when he played last season at Ipswich. Kieran McKenna's team is exactly the same. They play out from the back. They've got the confidence to do it. And someone did point out to me, it looks a bit like Lucas Stengel as well. I didn't really know what to say about that one.
Is that from the top of the stand?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think the only criticism, if I could give him one, and it's not that I've gone fishing for one, I think he's very one-footed. I think that was evident. There was I think Erling gave him the ball in the first half, and if he'd have approached it with his right foot, he possibly could have given it back to Erling, or he could have played it onto Doak, and he just absolutely oofed it out with his left. It was a proper old school Sunday League, if in doubt, which I have no problem with. But I like to say, I've been more than impressed with him. A good, solid defender.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your opinion, George Edmondson?
I think he's been pretty good up to now. I only caught the back end of what Dally said there, because apparently there was someone at the door for us. He's come from Liverpool. There's a music podcast between 7 and 8. But yeah,
okay,
long way to come to get told at the door to football podcast about Middlesbrough. But yeah, I think I'm sure I caught him there saying about when he hoofed the ball out into the West Stand, and for me, I don't have a problem with that either. It's better than dilly-dallying on the ball, getting caught and then scoring. So yeah, I think he's been quite good up to now. Foreign nipped away, you were on about Van den Berg. Massive to have him back. Huge talent for this football club. So yeah, all positives for me. Everything positive. I couldn't fault any of the players on Saturday. I thought every one of them worked really hard, and it wasn't just them attacking wise. I thought we got a lot closer to their players when they had the ball. It seemed a bit. Carrick said in his press conference afterwards on the website that he thought that the tempo was a lot better and us closing their players down and being aggressive when we didn't have the ball. And that's exactly what I want to see. That's what we've watched under Carrick generally. Yeah. So, yeah, all positives. I haven't got one negative to say about the game.
So did you leave Paul McCartney stood outside then, or have you invited him in?
Well, I couldn't invite him in. While we're busy in here, he could be ransacking the studio. Dave will love that.
he might know Ben Doak. We could have had a bit of banter about
I've told him to give whoever it was a bell. He said, "Is this the Red Radio?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing a music podcast." I said, "You're not, mate. Not 7 to 8. You're not."
Wow. There you go. Who says we don't bring variety? Who says that?
No one was expecting that, were we?
No, definitely not. Just before I move on to your man of the matches, one player I do want to mention more, because he's had a bit of a rocky start, and I thought it was his best game in the Borussia. I thought Neto Borges was really good Saturday. I thought he dealt with the minimum of what they had coming forward. I thought he dealt with it really well, and I thought he actually made a little partnership with Regree as well. I thought they were quite in sync as well. I thought he was all right Saturday.
He was better than Saturday, wasn't he? Last week, it looked like we bought him from Neto the week before. But no, he did look. He
Waiting
did
to
look.
use that, haven't you?
Oh, I've had it teed up for ages. But no, he looked. He did. He looked a lot more comfortable.
Did, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. And just like that, we'll move on. Who's your man of the match?
I think we're all going to say the same player here,
I
but
don't-
Ben Doak for me.
Okay, we're definitely not going to say the same player. Go on, Dally.
Neto. No, I won't joke. I'll go McGree.
Hackney. I thought Hackney was absolutely brilliant.
Well, we've mentioned 3 players there, but I'm going to mention him again. I thought Morris was absolutely outstanding. And I don't know if it's because is he not very tall, or is it where I sit, or what, but he looks quite stocky, but he doesn't have to get around the pitch well. And when he's got the ball and he's under pressure, he never gives it away. He looks an absolute steal for, what did we pay, £3 million?
Yeah.
He settled in so well. Again, I was talking to my mate last night, there must be clubs in higher Premier League, clubs looking at him and thinking, I tell you what, this is a player here, because fair play to the scouting team who scouted him. He looks excellent.
Well, as I say, Craig John said to us a few weeks ago, the club's been scouting him for a good 12, 18 months. They've had their eye on him for a long time, and pounced when they could. I think it helped as well. He hasn't really had a break from football. Obviously, MLS players over the summer, don't they? So he's kind of just gone straight back into football again, and he's been brilliant. And he's the pin. You know how we had, I suppose, the last promotion team, Adam Clayton was the pin. He's the pin, but I think he's a bit more than Adam Clayton. He's got something a bit more about him. He looks good for, how old is he? 23, 24? He's
certainly
really
hit the
good.
ground running. He looks excellent.
He looks brilliant. As I say, like you said, there's going to be a lot of teams going, how have we missed him? You know what I mean? So, yeah. One comment coming. Jeff Allen, evening gents, what happened last week? I have to speak to these two. I don't know. I weren't here. But we are on Spotify, Amazon, all the good places you want to listen. If you want to listen back to the rant that these boys had about last week. John Don sends his regards. He is in Mercia. He's doing the Karaoke World Championships. I'm a crack at the Jägerbomb World Championships. Yes, I did win. So, but yeah, another comment coming. Johnny Carr, Borges better on Saturday, but we weren't up against much. Lacks pace for a fullback. Bangura equals massive loss. I'm going to counter that. What did Bangura do in a Borough shirt?
I think he's had a stop-start.
Yeah.
Mainly with injuries, but I'll agree with Johnny. I was quite impressed with Bangura. More impressed with him than I was with. He's that good. I forgot his name. Engel. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's a shame he's out for the season, to be fair, because I think he'd have been pushing. And if we get an injury at left back, God knows who we're going to play. It's going to be McCormack in it, probably.
Yeah, I think he looks. Go on.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at. We touched on this last week, and you know, Ryan Giles. Obviously, we know he's not coming back. It's not happening. But I think Bangura is probably the closest to that type of player. When you look at the left backs that we've had, we've had Thomas from Leicester. We've had Engel, who can be absolutely hideous one week and average to good the next.
Scrap the good.
he had one or two good games, but let's be honest, he always had a clanger in his back pocket. And you look at that Stoke Cup game, and teams were targeting him. And then you look at, obviously, we've got Neto, and you look at Bangura. I think Bangura was rapid. I think he was a good outlet. And it's a shame that he got injured against Chelsea last year, and then he's got his way back, and he's got injured again. But it's giving Neto a little bit more time and see how he gets on adapting to English football.
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. I mean, I always say, what did Bangura do? Because like you say, he was very stop-start. He didn't really get a run of games. Yeah. One thing I remember him for was him leading that big, massive conga line at Port Vale when everybody was singing his name for 20 minutes.
He didn't even play.
I know, that's the best thing. And to be fair, I think he came on for 10 minutes and went off injured, like half the team. But yeah, that's all I remember him for. But, it is a shame, poor lad. One question to you, lads, before I start talking about West Brom and Watford. I said Jason's put it in, regular contributor. bus drivers extraordinaire. He was actually at the game on Saturday as well. When all 5 centre-backs are fit, who are you picking in your best back pair? That's a very good question, to be fair. Let's take Dale Frey out before you start.
It's a very good question, but I think on last season's performances, I think it's quite easy to answer. So I love Lenihan. I think he's great. Gutted that he's been injured, but he's had a massive, big injury. So for me, and I'd be very surprised if anyone disagrees, it's Vandenberg and Clark at the moment.
I think it has to be.
Fit, they've got to be the two, because it's what have you done for me lately, and both of them have been fantastic.
I think the best thing about them two is one's left-footed, one's right-footed as well. Yeah. I think if you have that perfect pair, that can, one's stronger on the other foot than the other, it just works. We've had successful partnerships where that's been the case as well.
I think you're right. I think you look at, if you go through the list of centre backs, you look at Edmondson. He's only been here 5, 6 games. Obviously, it'd be good to see him for a little bit longer period. I think Clark carried us last year at the back. Like I touched on earlier, we had one fit centre back, and he, with Johnny Howson next to him, he did really well. Vandenberg, what do we need to say about Vandenberg? He's unbelievable. One of the, could possibly be an absolute gem of a find by the recruitment team. Then you look at Dale Frey. I think it was touched on last week. I think he's moved in with Sammy Amiobi, and we've not seen him since. So I think it has to be Vandenberg and Clark. And Lenihan, again, the injury. That's the only thing about Lenihan, because I think 6 months ago it would have been Lenihan and Vandenberg, possibly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you're right, John.
I think that's why it's an interesting question, because 6 months ago that would have been the pairing. But Clark's just come in, and I think he's shown why we paid the couple of £1 million that we did.
But don't forget the injury he had as well. He was out for a long time with a back injury.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was a really bad injury, because it was very unknown as well, because it was very quiet by the club, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, he's back.
Yeah,
there you go, kind of thing. But right, 2 games to preview now. Start with West Brom. Before I start with West Brom, obviously everybody would have seen what happened on Saturday at Hillsborough. No fan should go to football, not go home. No fan. Obviously, we can get into the ins and outs of what happened. End of the day, we don't know. We weren't there. We don't know what happened. But unfortunately, a poor man lost his life.
Mark Townsend.
Yeah. His nephew was there, who had to watch it unfold in front of him. Had to tell his poor brother, his parents, that he'd passed away. No fan should go football, not go home. And yeah, I know tributes are going to be put out on Tuesday, obviously tomorrow at the game. They say Borough fans are going to join in as well. So yeah, it's
It goes without saying.
Awful.
It goes without saying that our fans will join in the 57th minute round of applause, because he was 57, Mark. Like you said, it's brutal that you go to the football and something like this can happen. So deepest sympathies to all Mark's loved ones and his family and his friends and everyone connected that knows Mark in the football club. I'm sure our fans will do. I'm sure our fans will do the right thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They've got our fans are good at that. When they need, they'll back us, and yeah, they say respect to be paid tomorrow night for that poor guy. So yeah, all thoughts with his family and friends, and obviously everyone at West Brom as well, because it can't be the easiest thing to see as well. I think all the players were all screaming as well. There's something wrong up there, and yeah, unfortunately it was just too late. But yeah, right. West Brom. Quote came out today from Hayden Hackney. So often a positive quote comes out, obviously it's usually the manager saying, we'll go into this game, we'll judge it. I'll read what Hayden Hackney said. We're really looking forward to the game. It will be a tough one against a strong team, but we go into it feeling positive and trying to build momentum after our win on Saturday. The visiting fans will be a big help for us, as always, and give us that energy to perform. It shows now how much one win can do for a team. If you go back this time last week, that team, they walked off that pitch at the stadium, they looked down, they looked, I don't know what else we could have done kind of thing. Well, we all knew what we could have done, but the positivity is flowing again, isn't it? It seems like we've found something, they've gone back to basics and they've gone, into a bit of a stride, or am I just talking out my backside?
It's you've got to put. We've seen it last year where we strung 6-7 wins together back to back, and I've already mentioned the strength of this division. I think if we do 6 or 7 wins back to back this season, because we've started a little bit better than last season as well, there's no way we'll be pushing for the playoffs. It'll be pushing the top 2. I mean, this time last week we were 8 points behind West Brom. If we can get a win tomorrow, we're going to be 2 points behind them, which is nothing. We all know 2 points is nothing, but you can't let these clubs start running away with big points tallies. That's what ruined us last season. It's going to be a tough game, but it's a game we know Carrick's not going to go there and sit back. We'll go there to try and win the game, as we will Watford on Saturday. I think it's a good test for us. See if we can put 2 really good performances back to back.
Yeah, I think it's a pivotal week. To be quite honest, when you look at the 2 games, I'd say both Watford and West Brom have started well. West Brom particularly, obviously, being top of the league. But, Dally, I mean, we were saying there, the difference a win does make, and, we've got to be going there. I mentioned to Cuts just before we came on, I feel tomorrow night's game will actually suit us quite well. The way we play football, and we like to catch teams on the counter, because I can't see them not being on the front foot.
Yeah, I think as long as we have a better... The last time I went down the offense, I think it was last year, and I think it was at the 2-0 they beat us, and it was frustrating. I'm deliberately not going this time because I haven't got a good record there. So we've always got that on in our way if I'm not there. But what I would say is they are a good team. Their manager's the busiest manager you'll ever see. He's up, he's down, he's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. But he gets teams to play some good football. They got beat at the weekend, but at the same time, Sunderland got beat at Plymouth, and we thought, okay, this is, I'll be catching them on the back foot. I think it'll be a difficult game. I think it'll probably be one of the hardest games we've played this season, away from home. Obviously, there'll be a lot of emotion in the game. I genuinely think, obviously, I always give my prediction. I genuinely think it'll be a draw tomorrow. Although, I'd absolutely love us to get a win.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Would you take a draw, though, if it was offered to you right now?
I'd take a draw every week, mate. I love 1-1. Would I take a draw? Possibly, yeah. I think obviously that's going to be my prediction. So yeah, I think I'd be daft not to say yes. Like I say, I think the win will give us that boost of confidence. But a draw's not a bad result. It keeps us unbeaten. 2 games unbeaten, and we go there.
I'll say this.
Keeps us unbeaten.
So true.
Talk about a draw and what have you, but rather than 2 draws, I'd much prefer us to see us win a game and lose a game, because ultimately you're getting a point more. I don't go for all this unbeaten malarkey. It's all about points. Yeah, and I think if you get 3 points out of 6 in every away game, 23 games, what's that? You're going to get like roughly about 33, 34 points from away games. And then if you're banking your own form on top, you're going to be there or thereabouts. So although you'd obviously love 6 points, you'd love 4 points, but I think if we can get 3 out of 6 rather than obviously 1, I think 3 out of 6 won't be a bad return from 2 tough away games. But that's not really what I'm expecting. I'm just saying it wouldn't be too bad.
I mean, I'll ask you in a minute what you are expecting, but it's an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, lots of teams would go there and accept a point, wouldn't they? They'd say, fair enough, let's walk away with it, get a point, come home. There's going to be some fans that are going to go tomorrow night and think, we could come here and win. Why can't we come here and win? In the defeats we've had in the league, have we really done a lot wrong? If you really pin it down, I know it's been individual errors that have cost us games. As a collective, have we really done a lot wrong? Because I don't think we have.
Well, we know fan well. You can say about will fans what will he expect? I think certainly every Borough fan will think we can go there and win for the talent we've got in this squad. And we, like I say, we know fan well. Carrick's not going to go there and sit back. He's not going to go there to try and defend and get a point. He's going to try and go there and win the game. So it's how the players start. The first 10, 15, 20 minutes is going to be vital. Scoring the first goal, I know it's a cliche, but it's huge when you're playing away from home in the Championship. And for our style of football, settling us down, keeping the ball, make teams come out, and then we can counter them. It's huge. But it's a game I think we can go there and win as well.
Of course it is. I mean, I've had a little peek at your predictions, so I know what you think it is. But I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Deli? I mean, I've just pinned out there. A lot of people have been saying. I mean, how many games have we played so far? 7. Is it 7?
I think it is.
I want to say 7. We should be on a minimum of 15 points, shouldn't we? I know we've got 11, but we should really be on 15 points. I can't see a lot we've done wrong. I mean, or am I really talking that much?
No, I think it's individual mistakes, isn't it? And I think sometimes, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier and about having no plan B. I think there have been games when, we've played the same way right throughout. It's not working, but we still play it the same way and we don't try and break teams down in other ways. I think for the first couple of games or the first couple of dodgy results, there was a lot of around the club of or around the fan base of but last season we didn't win till October. And then when you start, the games go on and it happens again. We needed to have a good start or be there or thereabouts. We left it too late last season. Obviously the season before. Obviously, we let Wilder go around about this time of the season. We brought Carrick in, but by then I don't think we'd picked a win up. I could be mistaken there, obviously, a couple of years ago. But we've actually got points on the board this year. We should be realistically looking at the squad. Cuts has touched on how good the squad is. Yeah, we should be right up there. There hasn't been. What's been the worst game of the season? I mean, I don't think there's been last week was more frustration, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Derby was a stupid mistake. The only mistake we made in the game. And you could go through and go look at other fixtures. But I think we'll be all right. It's not out of touch. It's not out of distance like it was this time last season.
Well, that's it. Like, I'd probably say the worst we've played this season, and yeah, last week was frustrating, was probably something like Portsmouth at home, even though we drew 2-2, but the amount of chances we wasted and the amount of times we were in on goal, we should be putting the ball in the back of the net, and we'd let them back in the game. That's the bit. And
you look at where we are now, we've just said there that Portsmouth's probably one of the worst games of the season. I think we had 32 games, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was a game where we had 32 shots on target. But we didn't see 32 shots on target between September and March under Tony Pulis. Do you know what I mean? So we've got to... It hasn't been the worst football we've ever seen. It's frustrating because that the talent's there. And I think that's... From people I speak to, it's just a frustration that it's there. And you just get that feeling that when it clicks, they're going to batter teams like they did when we had Chuba Akpom, Giles, and we were knocking 3s and 4s past teams. I genuinely think when it goes, we could be a bit of a steam train.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've been saying for all this season, we'll catch a team this season and we won't just score 1 or 2, we'll score 4, 5, even 6. So we'll just catch someone on a really bad day. If we got our act together on Saturday, it could have been Saturday, because I thought Stoke were really that bad. But yeah, there'll be a couple of times this season where we really get into someone. But like a couple of seasons ago where we caught Norwich at home, Preston, Reading, teams like that. We caught and we just got stuck in and we finished them quick. It was that easy. I think we'll do it again sometime this season. I really do. But come on then, you've got your prediction. Before I briefly talk about Watford, come on then.
I'm going to go 2-1 Borough. That'll laugh any time.
Okay. That'll laugh any time. Go on then, 1-1. Who's your scorer?
Agree.
There you go. That was easy, wasn't it? I'm going to go 2-0. Score early, score late. And I think we'll make it 2-2 here in Hackney. It's got it in him. He has got it in him. But then you move on from that game, and then you go into Saturday's game, Watford's not an easy place to go. We've found that many times over the years. Big games we've had over to Vicarage Road. Are you expecting us to be exactly the same? Positive, go there, give it a good go, and potentially could get a win again?
Absolutely. I wouldn't swap our squad for theirs. I think if we perform, we're going to win the bulk of the games this season. So I'm going to go for 3-1 on Saturday. Finish as
3-1.
3-1.
Fair enough. Right, 1-1. Who's your scorer?
No, I'm going to go for a win on Saturday.
Wow,
I'm going to go for 4 points out of 6.
Wow.
No, I'm going to go for a win Saturday. I'm looking forward to the trip down there. I'm thinking, I think it'll be 2-1, and I think it'll be a defender on the score sheet. I think Edmondson will score a header anytime. Boom.
Boom. I'm going to go the same as last year, 3-2. I'm going to go McGree. Anytime. I think he scored last year as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, because I remember I was actually watching that in the bar in Magaluf. I'd love to say I was sober, but I wasn't. But hey ho.
I tell you what, there's 18 points worth of scores on there, and we've picked us to pick up 16 out of 18 between us. What a difference a week makes. If we'd have done this last week after the Sunderland game, we'd have been lucky to put 6.
I know. I mean, and then let's put that into obviously put into perspective. So let's say we get the minimum. We'll have a minimum of 15 points after 9 games. Me and you've got us having 17. Compare that to the start of last season. I think by that point, 9 games. I think we had 5. Was it 5 points? I think we beat Southampton to beat them 2-1. I think that was our first win of the season. Yes, wow. Look what 12 months makes. Does obviously going into an international break, does that give us a massive stepping stone to go in? Because we'll talk about the games after in a couple of weeks. That'll give us a big boost to go into the next whack of games. We've got a big run of games coming to Christmas following this international break. I know there's one in November, but I say the games are going to come thick and fast. We've got some really tough games coming as well, haven't we?
Yeah, every game's tough in the Championship. I think if we do pick up the 6 points for the international break, we're going to be there or thereabouts, which we couldn't have said at this stage last season. I think it'll be a massive boost when we know we haven't performed as well as we possibly can to still be in and around the top 2 at that time. So yeah, if we can do it, it's a big if. I know I've predicted us for 6 points, but it's still a huge ask to go and pick up 6 points on the road in 2 away games. But let's hope they can do it and we're there or thereabouts.
Of course it is. I mean, the only reason I picked that out is I'm just having a quick look there just to make sure my memory was right. You know, we've still between the next international break and the one obviously coming up, we've got Coventry, Sheffield United, Norwich, Luton. Big teams in this league. Big teams. A couple have just dropped out from the Premier League. Some big tests coming. It's good to have a minimum of 15 points on the board in the Delhi, just to give us that little boost, give us that little bit of a kick to go into them with a bit of confidence.
Yes, but on the flip side, sometimes the international break can come at the wrong time. Yeah. If we were to win 2 games on the bounce, you want the games to keep coming. You don't want them games to stop. Like you say, they are big games. Did you say Sheffield United coming up? That's probably one that stands out because of old Sly Eye coming back. He's probably put his name in the hat for the Man United job already, touting about. And, you know, if anything goes on there, he's probably put his name in the hat for the England job. But yeah, I hope he gets a nice reception.
Yeah, I don't think he will, but you know, hey ho.
Do you think it'll be that bad for him? That bad a reception?
I think he'll get an interest. I don't think he'll get a round of applause and a free jackpot ticket. I think he'll. I think genuinely he had the club in the palm of his hand when he was here, and I think when he came here, it's evident he used it as a stepping stone. Obviously, Sheffield United had got rid of him. No Premier League team would touch him because of his outspoken comments about his chairman. We've given him the job. The fans loved him. The football was all right, but the football was good. He's got a chairman who back him. And as soon as the first sniff of a job came up, he was sat in the stands.
Yeah.
And I think he lost the trust there, and then he did the same with the Bournemouth one. And it was toxic. I was down there at Coventry that day when we got beat. It was toxic, and I think that was solely down to him.
Is that when we got beat 3-0?
I think it was. It might have been 2-0, 1 or 2-0.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a good day at all.
I remember that because Fletch was laying underneath the bus. I remember that game. What a guy. But yeah, I don't think it's a great reception. Like, if one of your players is coming out and calling you out and saying what's going on, a bit like what Sol Bamba did, there's something wrong, and it shouldn't come to that. You know, all he had to do in the press was say, "I'm managing Middlesbrough Football Club."
He lost everyone in that interview. I think it was that interview where he lost everyone. Where before even the question got asked, "No, don't even answer it. No, don't. Just say I'm Middlesbrough manager. Just give it lip service. I'm Middlesbrough manager. I'm here to do a job. I'm concentrating on Middlesbrough." But he wouldn't shut it down, and he dug his own grave.
Exactly. You don't do your 20 seconds of PR. I'm managing Middlesbrough Football Club. Okay, we've gone. Fair enough, right? He's in. Go. On that positive, lovely moment, we'll leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for popping in. Thank you very much for popping on.
Pleasure, thank you.
No, my pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much for listening, liking, subscribing, commenting, getting involved as always. Next week we'll talk about the 2 games that have been. Hopefully we've got 6 points. I'll take 4, and then we'll dissect what them 2 games bring, and hopefully a bit of happiness. So we'll leave it there. Be safe, up the borough. Cheers, boys.
Up the borough.
Cheers, boys. Up the borough.
Hello, it's Leo, and you are listening to the 12 Man Podcast.